And we're live. Welcome everyone to CapitalCosm Live. I know it's late at night, but I really wanted to get this video out before the start of the week. And as you can see right now, metals are in the red. Silver is down 3.4%, down to $75.25 futures contract. Gold is also down almost 1%, 0.77%. Just a little smidge above $5,000 in the futures price. As in copper and platinum, also no exception, although palladium does appear to be in the green here a bit. But be that as it may, the title of today's video is what the Chinese New Year means to gold and silver prices. Now, there's a lot of anxiety that I've noticed about Chinese New Year and what could potentially come down the pike because of it. Because as you know, if you were to take the open and close of every Shanghai Open, you'd end up in the green for your metals, whether it be gold and silver. If you were to just trade, if you were just to buy the open and sell to close in Shanghai every single day, you'd come out ahead more so than not. If you were to do the same thing, however, with COMEX, it's a different story. You would actually be down more so than you were. It's the opposite story. So this has led a lot of people to speculate that this week could be a big week when it comes to the metals, and that this week could be a week where the metals really take a hit because you don't have that Shanghai bid that we've been used to every day, every night at 8 p.m. Eastern. The Shanghai market opens, and it usually tends to spring up. Now, it's usually when the Shanghai market closes and into the day, the next day is when you start seeing the prices get smashed. So in this video, what we're going to do, we're going to look at some data over the last 10 years, 5 years, and even 50 years to make an assessment as to what history tells us about the Chinese New Year. When the Shanghai market does close, do we see any dips in price? Do we see any change in price whatsoever? Any significant change? Do we see an uptick in price, actually? Some interesting findings I think you'll want to tune into. We're going to cover that at the end of the show. But first, we're going to set the table for that. But before we do, nothing in this video is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, so please do your own due diligence. And with all that said, if you're getting value out of these videos, these interviews, this channel in general, be sure to hit that like button, guys. It really does go a long way. And it's like a superpower that you guys have. If you'd like to help promote the channel, all you got to do is just take a second of your time, hit that like button, hit that bell notification, leave a comment. All that goes a long way in the YouTube algorithm. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, the Shanghai market is closed right now. But to kind of recap where we are price-wise in the Shanghai market versus the Western spot market, as you can see here, this is metalscharts.org. They've got this nice little dashboard here. U.S. spot market in gold, $49.75. U.S. futures price in gold, $5,007. Now, Shanghai spot sits at 4,999. We're currently sitting at a 0.48% Shanghai premium, meaning that if you were to buy if you were to buy gold here in the U.S. and sell it in Shanghai, you'd make a $23 profit or a 0.48% profit from a percentage basis. Now, on the silver side of things, it's a lot more dramatic. U.S. spot is currently trading at 75.19. Shanghai spot, 86.87. And again, the Shanghai spot market is closed for Chinese New Year. So that yields you a premium of about $11.68. That's a 15.5% premium. Now, we also do have the Indian market as well. Indian spot at 84.42. That's a premium of about $9.23. That's 12.2% premium. Still a substantial premium, not as big as the Shanghai price, though. Now, if you look at the premium as a chart in and of itself, you've got the Shanghai spot price here in red, and you've got the Western spot here in yellow. And as you can see, it's been fairly consistent where the Shanghai price has been elevated relative to the yellow price, which is the Western price. And the bigger the gap, obviously, the bigger the premium. Now, if you look at the premium itself, Here you've got it in green. Let me see if I can actually make this screen bigger. It doesn't look like, oh, this is a little bigger. Hope that helps. But you'll notice that we spiked up to some pretty radical levels about a few weeks ago. We were looking at 50 plus dollar premiums in Shanghai at one point in towards the end of January. This is the top. This is when we hit 120 some odd dollars spot silver here in the US. And this is when you were having you had like a $50 plus spot attached to it. But actually, no, not $50. I don't know what this is. I think this is, they haven't really, doesn't look like they've, what do you call it? They don't really have a scale for this green premium here, but it was much larger than whatever it is today. Today is at 14.15. So we're gonna get into the data here in a second, but also before we get into that, I want to kind of give you guys a background in terms of what Chinese New Year is. This is from the South China Morning Post, and it's a pretty interesting article about the gold rush into precious metals, and what it means for Lunar New Year. This is the holiday, the 1 week holiday that you're seeing ongoing right now, as of right now in China. So it says here, China's gold rush: why families are doubling down on precious metals. Gold is becoming more popular in China ahead of the Lunar New Year, with households viewing the asset as a safety net amid an uncertain economy. People across China are buying up gold in large volumes ahead of the Lunar New Year holiday, as surging prices for the precious metal fuel its popularity as both a festive gift and an investment, from migrant workers splashing out gold-coated jewelry to white-collar workers pouring their savings into gold-linked investment funds. Yeah, we just had Florian Grooms on the show. We posted a video earlier today, the interview that we did, and he brought this up as well. It's customary for gold to be gifted during Chinese New Year. And so, despite the market being closed, the Shanghai market, that is, there's no stoppage of buying. If anything, there's actually more buying today from Chinese retail this week as opposed to any other week in the year on average. So you're still, I mean, because they do gift this stuff to each other. So you're still seeing a pretty good amount of demand on that side of the world when it comes to the gold market. The metal is widely seen not only as a marker of social respectability, but also a safety net amid an uncertain world. The rising demand comes amid an unprecedented rally in gold prices. Spot gold briefly touched a record high of $5,600 US in late January before retreating to about 5,000. This is where we're at today. Despite volatility in global market, it continues to hover near historic highs amid sustained demand ahead of the Lunar New Year. In China, gold jewelry is now selling at major retailers for more than 1,529 yuan. That's $221 per gram, up from 890 yuan from around Valentine's Day last year. So wow, so that's almost a doubling in price. Price spike has sparked a surge in sales of gold-plated silver jewelry in Chinese factory hubs such as Dongguan. Gift giving is a huge part of the Lunar New Year. Millions of migrant workers return to their hometowns laden with boxes of food, blah, blah, blah. And with prices for both gold and silver soaring, gold-plated jewelry is becoming a popular gift. It's more affordable than pure gold items, but it's still likely to hold its value, explained to Chen Li. Inquiries in sales of gold-plated silver items have noticeably increased ahead of the Lunar New Year, mainly from migrant workers at nearby factories, Chen said, adding that the recent spike in silver prices was likely to fuel the trend even more this year. So this is an interesting takeaway. I haven't actually heard anyone mention this before. So gold-plated silver items, apparently they've seen an uptick in demand from migrant workers at nearby factories. So this analyst, Chen Li, is saying that, adding that the recent spike in silver sales was silver prices was likely to fuel the trend even more this year. Interesting. So they could have been adding into the demand equation for silver, when silver was crushing it. Still is, but it's absolutely bonkers a couple of weeks ago. Silver soared in value by nearly 148% over the course of 2025, and prices have also remained elevated, trading at 77 and $79 per ounce in recent days. Middle class families in China's major cities are investing more heavily in gold, though. So yeah, gold is uh, it's the bigger play in China. Gold is typically what's gifted, um, and I would presume that you would gift gold plated silver. If gold is a little too expensive for your wallet or your budget, there. With the metal increasingly seen as a promising asset class amid economic challenges. So here's one use case. So this person, Yang Ling, a Beijing translator, she said she and her friends had treated recent international crises as signals to strengthen their gold portfolios. So they said, when we heard about the Venezuela and Middle East situations worsening early January, we invested more in gold that same day. She said, adding that she planned to invest her year-end bonus in gold exchange traded fund. So here's the difference in attitude that you're seeing in China versus the West. See, when people in China see what's going on around the world, their first instinct is to buy gold. Here in the West, in America, I mean, I'm still seeing people like try to chase after speculative assets, crypto, chasing after Bitcoin as some sort of safety hedge of some kind. So, the people in China are pretty much light years ahead of the consciousness and awareness of what's going on in the world as opposed to the United States. I mean, we're still fairly in a bubble. Demand for such investment products has been so high in China that banks tightened their risk management policies in January, requiring investors to pass higher level risk. So here's a question I have for you guys. So we're reading this article about how Chinese people like to gift each other gold. Do you guys gift each other? I mean, do you ever gift like your family or friends um, gold, or maybe not gold? I mean, gold's a little too pricey. It's a gift. Maybe you do. I don't know. Or silver. Give me a one in the chat if you gift them gold. Give me a two in the chat if you've ever gifted silver. Give me a three if none of the above. Curious to see what you guys have to say, because I do gift silver to my friends, and I usually get like it's kind of I usually get a weird look. It's kind of like this dozed off look, like what are you sending me? Especially like prior to this year, um, I've gifted a number of friends, a few ounces of bullion. And I wonder if they kept them in a safe place. I think they may have probably just like they may not even know where they are at this moment. But it looks like a lot of you guys have gifted silver as well. Some of you guys have actually gifted gold too. Interesting. So, what are some of the reactions you get when you would give your friends and family your medals? Very curious to see what you guys have to say there. Yeah, drop me your comments in the chat. I'll read a few of them. The surge has also drawn regulatory attention. Authorities in Shenzhen, home to China's largest gold trading hub, have tightened oversight after two platforms failed amid heightened market volatility. But the gold spending spree shows a little sign of slowing down. At branded gold retailers, consumers are snapping up 1 gram gold pieces shaped like small beans. It feels more thoughtful than a red envelope with 1,000 yuan in cash. So yeah, I'm reading through some of the comments that you guys have here. Wow. So one of you guys, you gifted your parents gold maple leaves on their anniversary and they hate you for it? What? Yeah, yeah, they would give you yeah, you guys know the weird look they give you, right? Like when you gift them a couple ounces of silver or something, they give like this like what are you like give or what are these quarters or something? What is this, like some sort of foreign currency? Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, if these guys have held on to their silver that they've been gifted by all of us, You know, I haven't gotten any thank yous in retrospect because of it though. I don't know if you guys have. Like, has anyone thanked you guys like in retrospect after like seeing what the silver price and the gold price have done the last year or so? Let me know. Feels more thoughtful than a red envelope. Okay, yeah, yeah. So we went through that. So basically, it concludes I plan to save money to buy about 5 grams of gold each year, John said. By the time some gets me, I should have enough. So, yeah, this is the consciousness that you have in China, where they see gold as a crisis hedge, an inflation hedge, and it's just part of tradition, right? I mean, this is a multi millennia civilization. So it's pretty much in their DNA. India, too. India, China, the East, uh, us here in the West. I don't know. It seems like we've kind of got amnesia. We're living in a make believe land. You know, we kind of seem to confuse the last 40 years as normalcy. And I've made this point a million times before, but people look at the last 40 years as the normal period. And what's been happening the last year is like the anomaly. This is weird. This is not normal. Oh, silver's topped, gold is topped. It's gone up too far, too fast. Well, maybe we're just returning back to normal. Maybe this is just a return to normalcy. And the 40-year delusion we've been living the last 40 years is just that, a delusion. Maybe that was the anomaly. So this is just kind of give you guys an idea what we're seeing in China right now. Now, if you pull up the charts, so what I've done here, I've got my silver chart here in green. I've got my gold chart here in yellow. And what we're going to do, we're going to focus on the previous Chinese New Year years. And we're going to see what both gold and silver have done during those Lunar New Years. So let's go all the way back to 2025 to kick things off. So 2025 is this period here. And this is when you had your Lunar New Year in 2025. Silver here. You started the new year at around $30 and you ended it at around $31. So you're looking at about a 1.5% increase. Again, nothing crazy on silver side of things, but you still saw a mild spike up. Now, if I zoom in here, I look at the gold price. We started the new year period, week, holiday, whatever you want to call it, at 27.63 gold. And we ended it at 28.14 gold. So 2025 last year, you know, there really wasn't like a big banker attack from the West or anything like that during the Chinese New Year. Okay. Well, maybe that's just 1 year. Let's go back a bit further. Let's go back to 2024. So we started off the new year in 2024 at $22 silver, and we ended it at $23 silver. Again, this is about a 10% move, or a little under a 10%. No, hold on. Whoops. Yeah, sorry, a 3% move. I don't know where I got 10%. 3.4% move in the price of silver. Now, gold, on the other hand, did see a small downtick. We started the new year at $2,023 gold, and we closed it at $2012 gold. So pretty much a very small downtick. So that was 2024. Basically, gold went sideways. Silver had a minor uptick. The year before that was 2023. Let's see what happened in 2023. So in 2023, we started the new year, the Chinese New Year, that is, at 23.93, and we closed it at $24. Pretty much went nowhere. Sideways. Again, well, sideways for the first time in our analysis so far with respect to silver. Gold started the new year at 1930 and closed it at 1927. pretty much sideways as well. So a nothing burger in 2023. Now let's go back to 2022. So what do we have here? We kicked off 2022's Lunar New Year holiday at $22.68. And we close it at $23.24 for silver. For gold, 1797 for gold. And we ended it at 1827. So both gold and silver got a bid higher before and after. They actually saw a bit higher at the end of the new year versus after. And I think that's all I have charted here so far. So from what we can tell, the last 4 years, it's actually been a nothing burger to a slight uptick in metals prices, actually. So this is the last 4 years. And right now, we're doing this in live time. I'm going to move my. What if I do? Yeah, so we're currently trading at 75. Hold on, let me move my space from here. Yeah, 75.12 right now on the spot market for silver. That's fine. We'll just do. That should be better. Now you can see the scale. Okay, so 75. We're just north of $75 on the silver spot market. Okay, now we're at $74 as soon as I spoke it. It's $74.87 right now. Gold at $49.74. So down 3%, 3% on silver, down 1.3% on gold. I'm going to mute this as well. And so here's your gold price. Here's your silver price. And yeah, so far it's been somewhat of a slam, nothing too crazy. I was hearing all these rumors that gold and silver are going to get slammed at the open, but seems pretty standard so far. So I went ahead and asked Grok to analyze the last 10 years of Lunar New Year's and give me the average percent change in both metals prices from before and after. And then I asked it the same thing to give me a 50-year analysis. That's 50 for the percent change and what it got from that. So let's see what Grok has to say. So with respect to silver spot price, so here's your chart of the last 10 years, right? Pretty much what we looked at for silver. 2025 up around 5%, 2024 up around 1.3% before after Lunar New Year. 2023, as we saw, was a small down period, minus 0.8%. 2022 plus 2.6%. And you really look through these years, and it's pretty much very mild. So, most years are very modest. There really isn't that much volatility. 2025 was your most volatile at 5.8%. And if you go down here, and so pretty much the average percent change over the last 10 years for silver is 1.4%. So that's really it. So if we were to take history at face value, I would not anticipate like any big momentous crash or huge correction over the next week, even though it's being hyped as such. But if history follows suit, then I wouldn't bet the farm on it because it seems like it's actually quite beneficial for silver. Now for gold, let's see what AI gave us for gold. So yeah, for gold, pretty much the same thing as you can see here. Very mild gains, very modest shifts. around a little under plus or minus 3%. Doesn't really get above 3% over the last 10 years. Um, and really, 2025 was your most radical year. Gold was up 2.8%. So it's actually had the opposite effect over the last 10 years. Chinese New Year's actually has seen an uptick in the metals price as opposed to a downtrend. I hope you guys are finding this useful. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this kind of analysis. Now, I asked Grok to look back 50 years for each metal. And the big takeaway was for silver, you're looking at about a 1.5% change in silver's price from before and after. And for gold, you're looking at a 0.8, so less than a 1% change. So these swings are very mild. Um, Positive years, 31 out of the last 50 years have been positive for silver. So it's got a 62% rate of being positive. Gold, 29 out of 50 years have been positive from a before and after perspective. So I wouldn't sweat this stuff, guys. I know there's a lot of anxiety when it comes to Chinese New Year and they're shutting down the Shanghai exchange and pretty much the wolves guarding the hen house now. But I mean, if this was the case, wouldn't we see it in the data from prior years? Unless I'm missing something. And it seems like Grok seems to attribute this upswing because we do see more positive percent changes as opposed to negative percent changes. And what appears to be the case is that yes, the market is closed, but you do see an increase in demand from Asia as a result. So they do end up buying more jewelry, more gifts, more bars. But what's interesting is that you would expect the gold price to outperform the silver price in this regard because, again, gold is the more sought after piece of jewelry. But it's actually silver that's outperformed gold in these Lunar New Years. And as you can see here, I mean, even the earlier decades, like from the 70s to the 90s, it says here they showed more mixed results amid post Bretton Woods volatility and lower baseline prices. But the 2000s to 2020 saw stronger consistency with rising industrial demand and investment demand. So there you have it, guys. There you have it. I wouldn't really sweat this week too much. I know there's probably going to be a lot of headlines and stuff about this stuff, but history tells us that we really ought to not be too worried about it. If anything, it might actually help in a weird way, as we saw in the South China Morning Post article. Retail demand is sky high right now in China, and it's probably going to be the same case in India. And so a lot of the stuff's going to be bought up during the next week. So what we're going to do, we're going to end the show by looking at some technical analysis on the current price action of both gold and silver. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's my opinion. And I pointed this out to Florian, and I don't think he saw what I saw. Because let me know if you're seeing what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a bull flag here in silver. Do you see it too? It's a very steep bull flag, but a bull flag nonetheless. Do you see this downward facing rectangle? Pretty much. This is the bull flag that I'm seeing. And typically when you have these bull flags, it's usually a sign higher. So it's usually a sign to go to the upside. But inside this bull flag, you've got, gonna sound weird, but you've got like these mini bear flags inside of it. So there's one here where it's like a small, a lowly positively sloped rectangle here. And it seems like we're pretty much coming to a head here. You see this little rhombus shape here? So that's a bearish signal with an overall bullish signal. So what could happen is, I mean, we may break down below the support line and then retest some of these levels here. But overall, this seems like a continuation pattern to the upside for silver. There's always a chance we could come down here to 50, but it looks like what it's trying to do is it's trying to create this bull flag consolidation pattern. It's fairly steep though. If we don't break above, I would say $76 in the next couple of days, I would say there's probably more chance of a downside move in silver. In gold, you have this symmetrical triangular pattern here. Let me know if you guys can see it. You see how this little pattern here forms a triangle, and it's pretty much equal on both sides. It's not really slanted up or down. It's pretty much neutrally sloped. It looks like it's moving. It looks like it's just breaking out higher. So gold looks like it's breaking out higher from this symmetrical triangle. But you do have this bear flag. Again, when you have a flag going like this, right? You've got this little channel here. It's barely sloped to the upside. Looks fairly weak. If you break below this support line, it looks like we're at a pivotal point here. Seems like, I think if we can stay above 5,000, that's probably a good sign for the short term. But it seems like we're at a pivotal point. 5,000 could be the indication as to whether we go higher or lower. Now, if we break below 5,000, that could be another sign that we've got more. It goes something like this. You see these patterns all the time in charting. They go like this, they go like this. And this is what you would call right here, these patterns, this one here, this is what you would call a bear flag. And this is a sign of downward momentum. It's a continuation pattern to the downside. And so to kind of get better insight into all this, one of the methods that we can use is by looking at the silver to gold ratio. And the reason why we're going to look at the silver to gold ratio is because if silver outperforms gold, that's a sign of strength in the metals complex. And so, whether you're a gold stacker or a silver stacker or both, you want to see silver outperform gold, because when you see silver outperform gold, that signifies a healthier metals market. So that means that investments are going into the more speculative side of the risk curve. And so here's your silver to gold ratio. Whenever this goes down, it means gold's outperforming silver. Whenever this goes up, it means silver's outperforming gold. So what do we see here? So we've got an ascending wedge here. This is another bearish continuation pattern. As you can see, you've got this wedge, wedging up. It's upward facing. And anytime you have these wedges here, it's usually a sign of downward momentum. And you also have this expanding, kind of like this expanding cone here. This is also bearish, especially if it's upward facing. And you saw what happened here. Now we're currently at the support line, and we do have a much larger expanding cone. So it looks like we're breaking down below it from the silver to gold ratio. So from a pricing standpoint, it looks like probability wise, gold is going to outperform silver. And, this is pretty much signifying that we're pretty much not out of the woods yet when it comes to this correction, but I wouldn't put too much on the Lunar New Year as a reason for what's happening. This is just what we're seeing in the chart patterns right now. Now, what you could also draw here, you could draw a little fairly steep bull flag here too. And again, we're right at a critical point. If we break below this, that means we're going to continue our descent down. If we break below the support line here, we're going to continue our descent down. It looks like we have broken down below it. We could go back and retest this support line. We'll see. But if we can, looks like we can get a price above, we just move a little higher here in the ratio. We'll break this bull flag and perhaps ascend higher on the silver to gold ratio, which would be bullish for both metals in this case. Again, we want silver to outperform gold. Even if you're just an exclusive gold stacker, you want silver to outperform your gold because that's going to take your gold much higher. So again, it seems like we're right at a pivotal point. It's not looking good for the silver to gold ratio, though. This could be a signal that we're going to go head on lower. But we'll see. I mean, it could retest this ratio, could retest this support line, and we could break out of this bull flag, this fairly steep bull flag that's forming here. If you look at it from a 1 minute perspective, yeah, there you go. This is your silver to gold ratio. Let's go ahead and take a look at silver. Where is it? Silver's right here. Let's take a look at the minute by minute charts. Sorry, the minute by minute candlestick. And yeah, so looks like it's forming a bottom here, right? On the minute by minute candlesticks. So you got a little bottom here, triple bottom. That could be a sign higher that the low is in for the night, or at least the near term. Again, this is 1 minute candlesticks. And you do have this little consolidation that you can draw here too. So you have this little consolidation. I've seen this pattern so many times throughout charting. Anytime you have this pattern, typically means an upward move. And it looks like we broke out of it. So we could be looking at some upward momentum. It looks like we are in the silver price on the 1 minute chart. So that's where we are, guys, with the metals. We'll have a better idea as to where things are heading in the next day or two, especially after we see where things land on these respective bull flags and bear flags that we looked at, where we land on the support line and so forth. So tomorrow will be pivotal and the day after as well. And as you guys know, President's Day is tomorrow, so markets are closed. But COMEX is open, so we still have that. All right, guys, drop a like. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want to see more of these analyses. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification. It really does go a long way in helping my channel grow. And yeah, I know it's late, but I just had to get this out to you guys before the week started. I know it's going to be a very dramatic week. We'll see how things land. Oh, and quick announcement, guys. I need to let you know that you in on my guests for this week. So I think you'll be excited for one. So on Monday, we have Bill Holter coming on tomorrow, Ed Dowd coming on tomorrow. If you'd like to ask any of my guest questions, by the way, you could do so by becoming a member on Substack and clicking on the guest lineup post and posting your question there. Tuesday is John Rubino in Capitalist Exploits. This is the recording schedule. Wednesday is Lynette Zhang and Rick Rule. Thursday is a panel with Alistair McLeod and Simon Hunt. And then finally, you ready for this? Making his debut on the show, Colonel Douglas McGregor. I'm pumped. So it's gonna be a great week here on CapitalCosm. And if you'd like for me to, if you're not a member on Substack, what I'll also do is there's a question you want me to ask any of my guests for the upcoming week. Go ahead and post them below this video. I'll pick one, maybe two, and I'll get them asked. And so this is what we'll do. If you don't want to become a Substack member, You could always roll the dice and just type your question down below in this comment section, and I'll pick one for it to be asked. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you for watching, and I will catch you all next time.